I spent 18 years in prison for a murder I didn't commit. Ask me anything. In 1995, I was arrested for murder, along with 5 other people. We were all convicted and sent away for 25 years to life. From the very beginning, we all insisted we were innocent. I never gave up and launched my own investigation from my cell. I actually found out who the real killers were from behind bars. Finally, 2 years ago, all 6 of us were exonerated after nearly 18 years in prison. Proof. This is me now, holding a photo of me before. What did they say when they released you? Our bad? They didn't say anything. I went up to the assistant DA who opposed every appeal that I filed, and I shook her hand and told her it was finally nice to meet my long-term nemesis. And she's won a lot of battles, but I just won the war. Seemed to me she put her head down in shame. May I ask how one can launch their own investigation from their cell? That sounds extremely hard. It was hard. I used the FOIA. I have a stack of letters I sent. They denied me for years. Finally, in 2012, I got one document that opened the whole case up and proved who the real killers were. Were the real killers connected to you in any way? Did you know them or know of them before your arrest and wrongful sentence? I didn't know them personally, but apparently they lived in my neighborhood. Were you ever victim to any violence while in prison? How did you get along with other inmates and the officers? Thanks for doing an AMA. I mostly stayed to myself and frequented the law library a lot. I taught a lot of people to read and write. I taught the GED class. I stayed busy. I went to prison with a 6th grade education and left with a bachelor's of behavioral science. Did you ever consider suicide while being trapped in there? Several times. When you lose all of your appeals, and you have to consider that you'll be in there the rest of your life, because parole almost is never given to convicted murders. You think the only relief is to end it. But something inside you keeps telling you to fight. What did they have for evidence to convict you, or how were you convicted? They had an eyewitness who falsified her testimony. She was drug addicted and homeless, and said she saw all of us exiting the back of a taxi cab. There was no forensics, no fingerprints, no nothing. Did you have any friends or family who believed you were guilty, and how did that go? A lot of family members and friends were under the impression that I actually committed this crime, and as a circumstance of that, and abandoned me. They all now know the truth, and have taken steps to amend their past judgment of me, and I've accepted it. What was the one thing you really wanted to do once you got released? Was it travel, a certain meal? What?
I just wanted to eat lamb chops.
How has your relationship with your daughter been? Were you able to meet her while in prison? It was strained, and still it feels like she resents me for leaving her for all of these years. If you could advocate for one change in the justice system, what would it be? And what piece of evidence did the prosecutors focus on the most? That prosecutors and detectives be held accountable for their actions if they cover up evidence. Was your family still alive and well after you got out? What was different? Please explain from your point of view. I lost my grandmother while I was in there. I had to attend her funeral in shackles and chains. What was the biggest shock when you first got to prison? It's not the image you see on TV. There's not as much violence, the food isn't as bad. If your family sends you food packages, you can actually cook for yourself. When the other inmates asked what you were in for, did you bother to tell them that you're innocent? And if so, what was their reaction to what you were in for and that you were claiming to be innocent? I told everyone I was innocent. There were mixed responses until the facts of the case were revealed. Has the stigma of once being in prison for murder been hard to live with, such as finding a job or anything like that? I have difficulties with credit issues, housing. I just got a new apartment and had to pay a full year's rent because I don't have credit. I opened a juice bar in the Bronx called Fresh Take on Life, and work there every day. How long after you found out who the real criminals were did you remain in prison?
Almost 8 months.
First of all, it's incredible that you had the strength to fight for so long. Did it help that you were 5 and could support each other? Do you think you're a rare exception, or do you think this kind of injustice happens all the time? We were all separate, and I never saw them after going away. I did write to them, though. It happens all the time. More than you know. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments.